Do you ever feel like that after eating this? Stay tuned as we talk about dairy because you are not alone. Welcome to the Keys Ingredients. Today, we'll be discussing dairy. The current food pyramid suggests that we take in 2 to 3 servings of dairy per day. They do not decipher between organic, non-organic, or imported. There's a big difference there, considering the fact that the quality of the meat, milk, or eggs that are produced completely depends on the environment that the animal is raised in and what the animal has been fed. Here at the Keys Ingredients, we encourage eating nutrient-dense, whole foods while limiting both our grain and dairy. We limit grains, especially processed refined grains, because our body recognizes them as a sugar, stores them as a fat. We limit our dairy because it too is processed. As a society, we are far from cutting back on dairy. Back in 2011, the average person ate a whopping 632 pounds of dairy and only 272 pounds of fruit. Statistics like this drive me bananas. One way to limit your dairy is to make your portion smaller. One way to make your portion smaller is to make an appetizer, which is exactly what we're going to be doing today. I love stuffed mushrooms, so we're going to go ahead and make those, and we're going to also make a Middle Eastern dish called baba ganoush, which is basically an eggplant hummus. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and start with the mushroom mix first, which I'm going to use organic cream cheese. Remember, the organic dairy is free from pesticides, hormones, antibiotics, and the like. I'm going to add half a cup of feta. There was half a cup of cream cheese there. Half a cup of feta. And my favorite, Parmigiano Romano. I'm going to mix that up. If you leave the cheese at room temperature, it will actually blend a lot better together. And then we're going to add, this is the base of the stuffing. The mushrooms are already loaded with vitamin D, so we're going to go ahead and stuff this wholesome goodness in there and make them even better. Once you have it creamy like this, go ahead and add your other ingredients. I'm going to use some fresh ingredients. First thing I'm going to do is add parsley and fresh basil, which I have already pre-measured here together. I want to chop it just a little bit finer than this. Reason being is that it's going into, the mushroom cap is so small, and when you're stuffing a mushroom, you don't want big chunks of anything. You want it to all blend together. So like I said, I have 3 tablespoons of fresh parsley, 3 tablespoons fresh basil. Just going to chop that really, really fine, going 2 different directions here with my knife to kind of make it as fine as I can. Making a lot of noise too. I think that's probably pretty good. Pick that up, throw it in our mix. My recipe, formula, comes with black olives. Now these are not just any black olives. Our recipe for spiced black olives is on our website, and they are delicious. I've turned some olive haters into olive lovers with this recipe. I'm going to chop these up. They need to almost be minced, so buying them pitted is probably a really good idea. We are also going to add sun-dried tomatoes, which we will chop the same way, and roasted bell peppers. I'm actually choosing to use roasted today just because I love the robust flavor of them. I have one little secret that I actually do. When I purchase the the peppers, I love to purchase them in only olive oil, of course, but that oil that they are stewing in, it is so flavorful. So I kind of take a tablespoon or 2 of that and throw it in here. It's not in the recipe, but you just got it live. So while my olives are almost chopped up, you tend to see that I will chop in the same spot on my cutting board for the same recipe. There's little tiny bits of parsley that's mixing all in here. It's all good. It all goes in together. Take my olives and put them in. Moving on to sun-dried tomatoes. Now, sun-dried tomatoes can come dried, which you can kind of hydrate yourself and then chop up, or they can come packed in oil as well. Just be sure that you are looking for olive oil only. You don't want them soaking in canola oil or soybean oil. Those are ways to save money on the producer's part. It is just not a good health choice on your part. Just keep reading those labels and you'll know exactly what to do. It's nice and finely chopped. Add in our sun-dried tomatoes. And here are our bell peppers. There's a little bit of the oil at the bottom. Now you can do raw as well. However, whenever you use raw, they are going to be cooked a little bit with the mushrooms. Whenever you do anything raw, there is more health benefits to consume raw than cooked. So let's just sneak a little bit of this oil in there, about a tablespoon. And if your tomatoes came in oil, you could do the same thing with the sun-dried tomatoes as I just did with the peppers. Make this as fine as I can and put it in. Add some garlic. This is my little garlic chopper that I'm so fond of. Takes the garlic and puts it into this little cup here. And as you can see, it's finely chopped. But again, with the mushrooms, because the surface is so small, I'm going to do a little trick here and just add a pinch of salt to the garlic. I'm going to go ahead and chop it even finer. And then I'm going to kind of smush it up against my cutting board here to make it almost like a garlic paste. Any little peppers and sun-dried tomatoes that are left behind, kind of get in with that. There we go. Last but not least, healthiest vegetable, kale. I'm going to just actually added this in over this past Thanksgiving. We always have Thanksgiving at our house and we have a blast and we always serve stuffed mushrooms. And I thought, what's a way just to make a little bit healthier? So I added kale, and it was a big hit. So I've added it to my formula. And of course, I will be sharing that with you on the website. So you have to log on and get this one and the spiced olives and all kinds of good stuff. The kale I'm going to chop just as fine as my other ingredients. There's going to be lots of red and green, and then there's the black olive in there and the white cheese. You know how I feel about all the colors of the rainbow. And there we go. So what we want to do now is go ahead and blend all of this together. You could actually, if your company showed up really early, you could actually serve this as a herbed cream cheese and put out some crackers. I'm gonna go ahead and mix that all together. You want it, there's some escapees going on here. And the cheese will actually take on the colors of the red, the green, all that chlorophyll in the green leaks into the cheese, makes it a little green. The oil from the red peppers is leaking in and making it a little bit red, so it's beautiful. Here we go. And I'm going to just move a few things around so I can take my mushrooms. The mushrooms, washed, of course, and the core needs to come out. So the best way to do that is just to kind of hold it like this, wiggle the core a little bit, and it just usually pops right out. So we're going to go ahead now and take each one, and you're just going to spoon a little bit into the cavity there. And you can make it just about, you don't want it to be dipping in, you want it to be level or a little higher. Let's place those on a plate. Oh, there's one I can show you. I forgot to do one. So you just push, 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 and pull it out. It's pretty easy. And you fill that in. Like I said before, mushrooms are loaded with vitamin D, and which is actually one of the vitamins that we are so deficient of these days, and it is pertinent to your health. So if you like stuffed mushrooms and want to get a little healthier, there you go. Okay. We'll put these in the oven at 350 degrees and bake them for about 15 to 20 minutes. Today, my top 3 are allergies, processed milk, and dairy alternatives. Number 1, allergies. 60% of adults cannot digest dairy. Shocking, right? This happens for 2 reasons. They either have an allergy or they are dairy intolerant. When the body has an allergic reaction, there's an immune response. This response does not occur if you're just dairy intolerant, which basically means it doesn't show up on the allergy test. Whether you're allergic or intolerant, eating dairy leaves you uncomfortable, bloated, gassy, and inflamed just the same. Undigested sugar from the dairy ends up in the colon and begins to ferment. Continually eating dairy when you are unable to digest it causes an overgrowth of unhealthy bacteria in the gut. This prevents normal digestion and causes weight gain, sometimes up to 20 plus pounds per year. Number 2, processed milk. The milk used to make our yogurt, cheese, and other dairy products undergoes processing before it hits our shelves. It is homogenized and pasteurized. Homogenization means the milk is shaken rigorously to break up all those fat globules. The end result is cream and milk blended together instead of separate. It also then is pasteurized, which means it's boiled at very high temperatures to kill off harmful bacteria. This process reduces iodine content, destroys part of the vitamin C, and all of the lactic acid bacilli, which, without getting too body chemistry on you, is a probiotic. It's what feeds the good bacteria in the gut lining. Reducing fat to 0, 1, and 2% is more processing and leaves it less of a whole food. If you have ever been to Europe, their pasteurized milk is not refrigerated. Our grocery aisles also have pasteurized milk in a box on the shelves. It's the same milk. It's refrigerated at the store for your convenience, not because it has to be. It's like that case of beer. Some are refrigerated, some are shelved. Number 3, dairy alternatives. Non-organic dairy is the product of inhumanely raised animals that have been subject to pesticides, antibiotics, hormones, and fed GMOs, then processed. Organic dairy does not allow these things, however, it is still processed. There are plenty of great alternatives. Did you know that goat's milk is closer in structure to human milk? It is actually more alkaline, while cow's milk is more acidic. Both goat and sheep's milk are naturally homogenized because the fat globules are smaller than in cow's milk. Sheep's milk makes the creamiest cheese. This is why I love to use Pecorino Romano in most of my formulas. If you choose to be dairy-free, coconut milk and almond milk, unsweetened of course, are great alternatives. Soy milk is not advised, as over 90% of soy is genetically modified. Moving on, let me introduce you to the real star of the show, the eggplant. Eggplants come in different varieties. Chinese eggplant is one. This is a regular eggplant, and it really is delicious. An eggplant parmesan, I pickle eggplant, which is to die for. Today we are going to do baba ganoush, and we're going to get started. So what I've done is cubed my eggplant, drizzled it with olive oil and salt, and baked it in the oven, and I'm just going to give it a quick try. It's delicious. Really, really good. It's going to be an excellent base for our baba ganoush. Transfer everything here into my measuring cup. Today I'm going to be using my absolute favorite kitchen tool ever, the Vitamix. This thing is a blender on steroids. It's crazy. The motor, which is in here, just super, super powerful. This is where I grind my grain. You can make dips, sauces, soups. It's incredible. We're going to add our eggplant into the Vitamix. This recipe calls for 1 eggplant. A lot of recipes for hummus and baba ganoush. They actually ask you to remove the skin in baba ganoush. Whenever you're pureeing something, a lot of times the skin may get in the way. With a Vitamix, it does not get in the way, and I definitely keep my skin on due to all the minerals that are in that nice dark skin. So add my grilled eggplant, oven roasted eggplant. Either way it works. And I'm going to use sesame seeds. If you've ever heard of tahini, which is in hummus and baba ganoush, it is just ground up sesame seeds. So that's what tahini is. I'm also going to add cumin to this, lemon juice, and garlic. We're going to do 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. You could actually add them in whole. I've decided to chop them, just make sure you don't get big chunks in there. There we go. I'm going to put my lid on. And this is actually called a tamper. We're going to use that to put in here to stir the bottom. I'm going to put this on. It gets really loud. Turn up the volume here. So that is blended really, really well together. And what I'm going to do is top it with a little bit of my spiced olives and a little bit of fresh parsley. However, you can top it with whatever you'd like. You can do sun-dried tomatoes, you can do roasted bell peppers, you can do jalapeno, spice it up a little bit. The possibilities are endless. We'll know they're ready when they turn this nice golden brown. Well, here it is, your don't whine about cutting the cheese platter, loaded full of stuffed mushrooms, baba ganoush, and a little bit of extra stuffed mushroom mix just to spread on a cracker. In keeping with our low grain, we actually made some flackers, which are flaxseed sesame crackers, and we're going to enjoy some really great appetizers. All of these formulas and many more are on our website. So come on, join us at thekeysingredients.com. Subscribe to My Daily Dish, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you like what you see, go ahead and pin it. Join us next week when we pursue excellence. Until then, keep reading those labels. It's how to take your pantry from where it is to better, one step at a time. And that, my friends, is La Bella Verita.